Folks, it's Friday. Hope everybody out there is enjoying the Friday. It's a great day today. So, it's been an eventful week, very eventful week. And of course, you know me, good old Idaho Joe, your favorite garden gnome. I've been out and about taking care of different things. A number of these have been debates. Yesterday, of course, was, let's be real, they weren't debates, folks. These are town halls. We didn't actually get into a debate on any of the issues in any of the forums that I did this week. The format simply wouldn't allow for it in a lot of cases. So let's go ahead and talk about a number of those things. So again, like, comment, share, ask your questions, folks. This isn't Ask Me Anything like all of the previous events. Again, and Ask Me Anything, I want to know your thoughts. I want you to know where I'm coming from, especially since I'm asking to represent you, in Congress for the state of Idaho. Yes. For those of us on the left coast of Idaho, yeah. So please, like, comment, share. I have my site set up for my donations. They're along the bottom. If you can, please go. It's also in the link in the header. Now, let's discuss this week. So one of the things that came up, of course, Monday was the day we actually went in and did the pre-recording for tonight's event, which will be broadcast. You saw it on my pretty little picture for my advertisement. Tonight's little broadcast, it's the Idaho debates. This was a combination of effort by the League of Women Voters of Idaho, NPR, Idaho Public Television, and a couple other donors that have been involved in the process. Tonight, Marsha Franklin, she was the delightful host for the town hall format that was pre-recorded on Monday. Awesome. Really love that conversation. She did try and hit me with some gotchas, but I wouldn't have expected any less. But Marsha was a very generous host, and I appreciate that. So 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time for those of you who are interested in watching it. I will be back live to do a watch party host, very much like what we're doing right now. Now, I won't speak over, like comments like this, but I'll be able to answer questions real time for those people who are interested, who want me to clarify on issues. And some of those clarifications may even turn into a later Cup of Joe with Joe. But so that was Monday night, and we get to iterate through that tonight. Thursday, yesterday, I did a town hall with Caldwell Chamber of Commerce. For those that are interested, there were questions that were associated with that. Now, it's a little bit frustrating because I didn't have nearly as many guests on as Russ Fulcher did to ask town hall questions for Caldwell Chamber of Commerce. However, they did put it out there. It will be recorded. And again, if anybody wants clarification for any of my answers that were put out by the Caldwell Chamber of Commerce interview that we did yesterday, same situation. Please contact me, write me, email me, or come back to one of these forums and just hit me up. Yesterday, last night, with Clint Schroeder, we did the CDA, that is the Coeur d'Alene Press, debates. No, town hall. It was a town hall. It wasn't a debate. It was a town hall. Actually had all three of us, Rudy Soto, Russ Fulcher, who is the incumbent, and myself, Libertarian candidate. We all sat down, and that is available on the Coeur d'Alene Press Facebook page, where they did do a live stream last night. So if you want to go in, take a look at that. I also recorded it yesterday, so you can go back and look through my video. But yeah, absolutely. Go in, watch those. I think it's good feedback, especially if you want to be an educated voter. I am a strong supporter of educated voting. Yep. Ricky, how you doing out there in Twitch land? Thank you for joining me out there in Twitch land. Absolutely. One of several different venues I have for reproducing this broadcast. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I use StreamYard. Okay. StreamYard actually allows me to multicast it along a number of different platforms. So I am simultaneously broadcasting this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. And so I got 4 right there. So if you have friends or family that are interested in seeing me on a different platform that we can get set up, no, I don't actually like the way Instagram interacts with the StreamYard. Sort of awkward. Anyway, that's another issue entirely. The other thing is Instagram has a limit of 1 hour. You exceed 1 hour, boom, he cuts you off. And while most of my broadcasts are only 30 minutes, I have been known to go long. Love you guys. So what else are you guys interested in as far as issues we got coming up? So tonight, said Idaho, NPR, Idaho Public Television. That's Channel 4 for those of you who aren't familiar with it. It will start at 8 p.m. and it will run for its duration. I'm not sure how long they have it cut for as far as the interactions go. But let's talk about some of the issues that Marcia and I brought up. Okay. I'm a strong proponent of self-determination. Yeah, well, being a libertarian, that is part of it. Now, I'm not going to lie. A lot of my self-preservation does also involve gaming the systems that have been created. The reason why is because they have been created. The adaptation to the social environment that has become part of who we are as a nation. It's the addiction to socialism, that was started clear back in 1914. It's continued on. Now, if you pay attention to the debates from Coeur d'Alene Press last night, I actually mentioned it when Russ Fulcher was talking about, 2020, when we look back in history. Will 2020 be the time in history where we identify that America made the hard left into socialism and communism? Or will it be the year we decided to make the right? Okay. Now, part of the problem is both the Democrat and the Republican parties are socialist parties. By socialist, I mean they are heavily interventionist, using the violence of the state in order to enforce the will of the state, whatever that happens to be, of the 443 plus executive agencies that Congress has empowered over the last 100 years, et cetera, et cetera. And now, I know there's an awful lot of Republicans aren't socialists. Folks, slow down. Take a look at some of the things that they've done with our collective money over the past 100 years. Not just from the perspective where you're looking at it of a Dwight Eisenhower Republican or a JFK Democrat. You actually have to step back and look at it from, well, what has the duopoly done over the last 100 years as far as creating this socialist environment for the redistribution of wealth in the United States? And while it is admitted that during that time there has been a certain amount of downward redistribution of wealth, particularly to the lowest quintile, the lowest 20%, which are usually identified as being Americans in poverty. The war on poverty, if we remember that. Yes, we do. Versus if you go over to what's happened with the right side, where that redistribution of wealth has been facilitated upwards, with our trickle-down economy that's been the watchword ever since 1980. Welcome to Reaganomics. Yes. Okay. Now, Reaganomics, that's 40 years of trickle-down economics using Keynesian policy and central planning here in the United States. So when you take a look at Keynesian policy and an awful lot, Keynesian, and I have no, one of these days I actually need to take an economic class specifically on Keynes Keynes so that I know how to pronounce his name. Yeah, we keep going back and forth on that. But regardless, Keynesian economics, Keynesian planning. It was one of those things that was instituted by the United States by FDR. It was 1930. We were getting, we were going through the Dust Bowl, severe economic downturn, stock market crashed, and we were trying to recover. Keynes came up with this idea of central planning where the federal government would pick winners and losers in an effort to steer the U.S. economy into a direction that was productive for everybody. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. But one of the things we want to do is we want to start coming back around and looking at what goes on with that policy so that, one, we either roll it back to prior to Reagan, where socialism actually worked for everybody. And I realize that's an ugly word for an awful lot of people out there, because 1930 socialism, that was Appalachia socialism. That was, your community. That was your neighbors. Your neighbors got together and helped each other. They're the ones who went and built your house. They were the ones who got together and re-roofed it when the rain came falling through. They were the ones that helped you fix your garden so that your kids had food to eat through, they were the ones, LDS Relief Society got together, the families got together and they canned. That way they were sure everybody had enough food to get through the winter. Maybe not 30 years worth, which was, I think, the policy back 40 years ago, but you were going to eat that year. Probably the next 2 or 3 years as well, with what you got started. But that's community-based. That's lowest level. That's voluntarism by an awful lot of the anarcho-capitalist standards. Voluntarism. That's the community orientation. That's community. You know my saying, family, friends, community. Together we can make anything happen. And when I talk socialism, when I talk communism, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking that lowest level, family, friends, community. These are the people who make sure you stay safe. These are the people who make sure you eat. These are the people who make sure you stay sheltered. They're the ones who get you through the day-to-day issues, as long as you remember to ask for help. Okay. And remember, if they pay it forward, pay it back, man. Pay it back. That's the responsible human thing to do, especially since you are borrowing from family, friends, and community. Remember, do the right thing by family. Do the right thing by your friends. Do the right thing by your community. And we make things happen. But when we talk about 1930s era socialism, that's what it was. It was community. You were looking at Eugene Debs. You were looking at union organizers. These were people who worked local unions, local economies. Where we got into trouble? People have praised socialism. Yes, yes. But, the church community, dude, let's admit it. If you are a member of a church, you are part of a socialist-based philosophy. You are. You have community. You will have church. They are there to help you every time. You don't need the state to write a law to realize that socialism, community, is there to step up and help and make things work. And the question is whether or not you're part of a community where they do that out of altruism, out of the goodness of their heart, or whether or not you're part of a community that has decided it needs to be codified in law. See, that's one of the problems we ran into. Around 1930, this Appalachia-style socialism, this ability to help people at the lowest level, was recreated. It was made into law by the federal government. You know what happens the second it's made into law? Greedy people start gaming the system. Now, especially when you codify it at 3 levels above the community where it's most effective and where it's most efficient. Okay, why the federal government was ever allowed to codify socialism in the United States, where we have apparently and quite often placed corrupt individuals in charge of these social programs. Yes, we did. We have very corrupt individuals in charge of these social programs at the federal level. If you really need to take a look at it, take a look at what Betsy DeVos has done with the Department of Education. Take a look at what the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, has done over the last 40 years across the United States, especially in association with banking and a number of other issues. The VA, the Veteran Affairs. Dude, when the Veteran Affairs was created, it was created specifically to steal money from the federal government. How you doing, Micah? You know, so when we talk about social programs at the federal level, you know, the federal level isn't where they belong at, folks. It does not belong there. We should not have the federal government involved in social programs, because the second you create a social program at the federal level, you have a corrupt individual ready to steal and siphon money out of that program and funnel it to all of their very wealthy friends. Socialism doesn't work at that level, folks. It never has. Take a look at Russia. Take a look at China. Take a look at anywhere where they have a federal level social program system, a central planning committee. The worst thing that can ever happen to a socialist is to live in a socialist country where his friends are not in charge. Hey, as one of my fellow libertarians here in the state of Idaho likes to say very, very often, the closer to home, the more socialist I get. If you're a libertarian, since I'm running for federal government, that's easy. Because at the federal level, I'm as libertarian as you're going to get. I want those suckers out of my life. I want those suckers out of your life. You know, if you're a libertarian, probably don't elect me to city council. But that's sort of a reality. The closer to home you get, you know, the more important that community building is. You know, the further you get, the more likely that community building is going to become corrupt. The more likely it's going to be. So we really need to get 443 executive agencies back in Washington, D.C. right now. 443. Why do we need that many? Why do we need 443 executive agencies involved at the federal level writing policies about how you are supposed to live your life here in Boise, Idaho, or Meridian, or Marsing, especially Marsing? You live in a community of about 500 people. How much federal oversight do you need on what happens in Marsing? You know, I mean, literally, the county sheriff can handle anything, everything that Marsing is going to produce, anything that Emmett's going to produce, anything that Bayview, Idaho is going to produce. You know, we don't need most of these programs at the federal level. It's time we get rid of them, because right now they're just money pits. They're places where we continue to throw good money after bad, year after year after year after year. So, but yeah. Absolutely. So that comes in a number of other issues. So like I said, we're 20 minutes. I got about 10 minutes left that I usually like to put in on these sessions on the weekday. Now, again, like I said, when I start rebroadcasting the debates that happen later on this evening, I will be doing live comments right alongside. I'll post a little something, you know, and this is interesting. I'll probably go ahead and do a post like I got right here with my banner along the bottom. You have to figure out exactly how I want to do it. No, I know exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way. You can say that. I got a response that I want to send back to you. I'm just going to type it. I'm going to pull it up in the comments like this. Thank you all for participating today, asking your questions, letting me know what you're thinking about. Absolutely. Like, love, share, comment, please. We got great things going on. We got great things. Let's go ahead and hide that again. But I'll be able to respond to your questions in that way. They'll go ahead and pan along the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and do the nice little screen in screen so that you guys can listen to and share with what's going on, your thoughts live with me on the debates. Welcome to the watch party. That's going to start at 8 p.m. tonight. In the meantime, we got anything else going on? Any concerns? You know, we got some great people out there. We got some great questions that need to be asked. You know, what are we looking at as far as libertarian values at the federal level? Okay. First and foremost, bring our troops home. Yeah, day one, Joe Jorgensen, Spike Cohen, just about every libertarian, every third-party candidate, outside of the constitutionalists, mind you, but every third-party candidate in the United States is a hardcore advocate of bring our troops home, period. And the wars. 19 years in Afghanistan, bring our troops home. You know, 17 years in Iraq, bring our troops home. Now, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, all those places, bring our troops home, folks. Service members stationed in 150 of 190 countries around the world, bring our troops home. Every third-party candidate agrees on those issues. Every single one. We'll ever find a way to participate in the debates. And so they have to poll a certain percent and they don't include us in the poll. Okay, now see, that's a beautiful thing. Because both Idaho and Utah have allowed federal level candidates to participate in the debates. Matter of fact, tonight, Idaho Public Television, Coeur d'Alene, last night, we actually participated in three-party debates. We had the Republicans, we had the Democrats, we had yours truly, the Libertarian, and even the Senate campaign introduced an independent last night. Independent Natalie Fleming for Idaho State Senate, running with Paulette Jordan against Senator Jim Risch, our incumbent, has actually participated in the Idaho debates as well as the Coeur d'Alene press debates. Sorry, town halls. Yeah, I keep wanting to say debates even though they weren't in the debate format. They were town halls. You know, so Idaho and Utah have definitely stepped up in allowing third-party candidates to participate at that level. Presidential level. Presidential level. Not until we break the monopolies that exist within the media. Right now, I believe we step back and we take a look at it. The four major news companies, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, you know, all of those, they are owned lock, stock, and barrel by oligarchs. Oligarchs like the two-party system. Okay, CD2. Yep, there you go. Trying to figure out what you were saying there, Idaho Lorax, but yeah. So, Congressional District 2, they've been running into a little bit of trouble trying to get their system on the show. And part of this is a communication issue. I'm not sure what's Idaho Law is the Libertarian candidate for Idaho's Congressional District 2. He's running against Mike Simpson and Aaron Swisher. Aaron Swisher, this is his second run for that seat against the exact same incumbent. But Idaho Law and aka Idaho Lorax, you guys keep me confused, man. I've been trying to get in on the CD2 debates. Now, for those of you who are interested, Idaho Law actually did participate in the Idaho Veteran Wellness Center Military Affairs debate that was put on, what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago? God, it seems like years ago, actually. But there was a CD2 debate between Aaron Swisher and Idaho Law, which also left out Ray Ritz, who's the constitutionalist over there. So currently working through that situation so that Idaho Law can actually get into the debates over there. But yeah. Now, back to your question, Micah. As long as the oligarchy continues to control the polling, and we've seen it. I mean, literally, the polling, Pew Research polls, all the ones that are involved in that process to make sure that the polls are done fairly are actually owned and they're bought, and they have been told to specifically exclude third-party candidates from the polls so that the third-party candidates can't poll high enough to get the 15% on average to participate in the debates. So this is one of those things where literally why anybody continues to watch MSNBC, CNN, or any of those others, or continue to participate in that bogusry, the fake debates. Yes, the fake debates. I'm calling them the fake debates because presidential debates are fake debates. They are stagecraft. They were created specifically for the purpose of promoting the duopoly. Dude, seriously, who watched the vice presidential debate? Okay, I know some of you did. Okay, you had Kamala Harris. Okay, she dropped out of the presidential race early. You know why she dropped out? Because an Army National Guard major, not a litigator, not a lawyer, that isn't what she does in the National Guard. She is a military police officer, military police commander. In order to make major, she had to have done a job commanding a military police unit as part of the qualification route. And so she is not a lawyer. She is not a litigator. She is not a debater. Okay. So you have a lawyer. You have a district attorney. That National Guard MP destroyed her on stage, essentially ending her run as a presidential candidate. And the DNC put her back on stage. That's a no-win. I do not understand why of all of the candidates that the DNC decided to set up for that position, and especially against Mike Pence. Mike Pence is also a litigator. I guess there's a reason why there's only one vice presidential debate. I also understand why they didn't put Spike Cohen up there on stage. The reason why is because Spike Cohen, Joe Jorgensen, to hell with it. Any third-party candidate. Spike Cohen, Libertarian. Angela Walker, Green Party vice presidential candidate. The candidate running with Brian Carroll for the Solidarity Party, the candidate running with Gloria La Riva, Party of Socialization and Libertarian candidate. Any one of those candidates, if their VP had stepped on that stage and would have opened up the Overton window, which is what they would have done. Who knows what the Overton window is? Okay, yeah, probably not. Okay, what the Overton window is, this is what you can talk about, man. This is the box. You can't pick anything outside of the box to talk about. No. Don't go out of the box. Don't go out of the box. You need to stay in the box. Stay in the box. No, can't go out of the... Stay in the box. Okay. As long as the DNC and the GOP stay in control, that box keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You got to stay in the box. Stay in the box. Okay. If you'd put any third-party vice presidential candidate on that stage, Angela Walker, Green Party, Spike Cohen, Libertarian Party, that box would have disintegrated. Think outside the box, folks. Think outside the box. Okay, we need to stop with the tunnel vision. We need to start thinking outside of the box. Okay, the duopoly. Doesn't matter who you elect. The wars will continue. The war was never meant to be won. Thank you, Orwell. The war was never meant to be won. That's why 19 years later, we're still in Afghanistan. The Commission of Presidential Debates has a bias and is in bed with me. Yep, it is, 100%. Is it even possible to gain mainstream exposure? Well, the thing is, and I love social media for this, okay? Mainstream is dead. It doesn't realize it yet, but mainstream is dead. Okay? If mainstream was still alive, they wouldn't be trying to silence QAnon right now. Okay, now, let's be real. QAnon's full of bull. He's full of crap. Yeah, I'm not a fan of him, one way or another. Okay. However, if mainstream wasn't dead, he wouldn't have the audience he does. That's the reality. Okay. Hypothetically, if we won the presidential election, would they even allow it? It's so frustrating. No, exactly, Micah. Even if we won, okay, and that changes the rules of the way the parties are done. Reason why is because now we move from a two-party system to a legitimate three-party system because the federal government now has to provide equal funding to all three. Okay, if we reinstate the fairness doctrine, okay, those people who are allowed to use public airwaves, public infrastructure, would be required equal time for all the political parties. Okay, once we create that wedge, we can start to open it up. And we'll see more than just one third party. We'll now be a three-party system. And over here, we'll have this collection of fourth parties, like the Greens and like the PSL and like the Solidarity Party. We'll have this collection of fourth parties over here. And our third party system, it's the great thing about the libertarians. The libertarians are perfectly happy. At least they are right now. That may change once we're actually in charge, because that's what happens. It's one of the reasons why you have to have people with integrity running in the Libertarian Party, because once that wedge is in and we open it up and we now have a three-party system, we end up with the oligarchs trying to insert control into the three-party system. That was one of the problems we had back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, was the Koch brothers and certain other oligarchs trying to create this anarcho-capitalist mentality that gave corporations, carte blanche, despite the fact that the reason the corporation exists is because the government allowed it to. Yeah. Um, yeah. Um, but you start taking a look at that. What we would literally need to do, and this is one of the problems we have right now. A lot of these media are actually shored up by federal funding. Um, we continue to support them. We continue to pay them big money in order to make things happen. You know, the amount of money that the Department of Defense gave the NFL just to support recruitment efforts a couple of years, you know, guaranteed that the NFL was going to survive this current downturn. And literally in the next 2 years, you know, there's enough money in the NFL from those recruitment opportunities, you know, recruitment funds from the DoD, you know, put soldiers with flags out there on the battlefield the field at halftime, you know. You know, the amount of money it costs DoD, you know, is going to keep the NFL at least stable, at least through this pandemic. You know, but that's one of the things that we're looking at is if we cut federal aid, if we cut the subsidies for a number of these organizations that have been allowed to consolidate in violation of trust fund laws, you know, another thing we can thank Reagan and Clinton for. You know, they actually allowed all of these news organizations to consolidate. I actually talked about that last night when I was talking with Clint Schroeder. You know, part of the problem right now is integrity in journalism. Yeah, there is no integrity in. Yes, yes. I love you, Amanda. Legalize it. Legalize it. Let's get it off of the Schedule 1, folks. Let's get it off of the Schedule 1. But yeah, no, I was talking about with Clint last night on the Coeur d'Alene News. You know, the reason why America is so divided right now is because we've lost integrity in journalism. You know, everybody's a talking head. Everybody is throwing their opinion out. You know, we're no longer being told what is happening and allowed to think about it. We are told what to think before we even know what happened. Yeah, that's a violation of journalistic integrity, and that's happening in every industry all across the United States. Me, right here. I'm giving you my opinion. Of course, you know it's my opinion because I tell you that I'm giving you my opinion. You know, but as far as journalistic integrity across the United States, we have people who have decided to embed with things that are happening around the world right now. They embed with the Proud Boys. They embed with Antifa. They embed with BLM. And while I am absolutely 100% in support of the citizen journalist, get that in your mind, the citizen journalist. I'm 100% in support of the citizen journalist. Okay. Those citizen journalists have to operate with the exact same integrity with regards to journalism as we expect from the citizen soldier. Be honest. Give the facts. Don't insert your opinion. Give us the facts. Dude, Micah, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. Because honestly, I don't know. There are some states, there are small states, there are Midwestern states. Idaho, you know, I trust implicitly the process that goes on in Idaho. Reason why is because I believe in Idahoans. I believe they have the best interest of their neighbors and they understand the intent behind integrity of their office, and they do their best to adhere to their office with integrity. And do we have some? Yeah. Is it enough to throw an election? No, I don't think so. No, especially when we have processes in place for the recount. You know, if somebody goes in and fudges the numbers at the electronic level, we have a paper trail. You know, in every one of our offices, you know, in addition to the electronic account that goes to the Secretary of State, you know, as the election goes on, you know, they double check that with an actual count of the paper ballots at the end so that they can confirm, you know, we reported 100,000 ballots through the electronic system and we counted 100,000 ballots, you know, by hand. And we've determined that, and we had exactly 1,000 signatures on the voter rolls. Our audit process works here in the state of Idaho. In most of the Midwestern areas, the audit process works. It was created to work. Okay. So I can count on my election being done with honesty and integrity here in the state of Idaho. But when you look at other states, you look at California, which has a huge influence over the presidential election by the popular vote, even by the electoral college, you know, 55 seats. You know, we've looked at that year after year after year. And we look at the people who get elected in California, in New York, and in some of these other places where political office constitutes an extreme amount of power, you know, extreme concentration of power, like Pelosi. And take a look at Pelosi. Yep. Absolutely, Micah. But yeah, there is a lot of corruption. Like I was stating, California, what goes on with Pelosi? I honestly don't know how she continues to get elected year after year. Clint brought up the issue, you know, 17% of Americans are satisfied with what is happening in Congress and the president right now. 17% of America is satisfied. Yet, year after year, we re-elect the incumbent. Or we invite in another member of the duopoly, you know, in order to fill those seats. You know, we know the duopoly is beholden to the party line. They don't get reelected if they don't stick to the party line. You know, me as a libertarian, you know, as long as I don't screw up the rules too bad, you know, I can take a look and, you know, maybe I can pull a Friedman and get away with it. You know, maybe I can pull Hayek and get away with it and say, look, I get it. We're going to do socialism. You know, but at least let's do socialism right rather than wrong. We know the way we got it organized right now is all wrong. We know we can't go cold turkey. But dude, the system's broke. Stop pretending that the way that we installed it works. Can I be a little bit pragmatic? Still get reelected as a libertarian candidate? Well, a congressman? Maybe. I don't know. We got a Republican that we keep electing year after year, despite the fact he's done absolutely nothing to shrink, you know, the United States government. Who knows? Maybe I can get away with a pragmatic solution as long as I do the libertarian thing and move it closer to libertarianism. Just move it closer. Just get us closer. Yeah. See, that's one of the things that's a problem. Because I think Rand Paul, in the process of deciding that even though he has a libertarian philosophy, the second he committed himself to being a Republican, he gave up a certain amount of his free will. He gave up a certain amount of his integrity. You know, some of the things he has decided to support in the last 2 years has been arguably suspect. Yeah, thank you, Amanda. I love you, Amanda. You know, No, we're not going cold turkey anytime soon. We are too dependent upon the structure. We are addicted to American socialism. We're addicted. We're not going cold turkey. We all know that treatment doesn't work. It just hurts. It kills. Uh, you know, but we need to find a process that gets us off the addiction. But again, this goes to libertarians like Rand Paul, Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie's a very libertarian-minded Republican, and he's done extremely good as far as moving, the Liberty Caucus of the Republican Party, in that liberty direction. But unfortunately, him and Rand and a number are still only one within what is a very corrupt system. And part of the problem is they're not actually allowed to be as libertarian as they should be in order to start moving the needle. And as long as they are Republicans, they continue to sheepdog libertarians into the Republican Party and into the huge Republican machine. And when you're dealing, I've talked about this a number of times, institutional inertia. And what that means, you have a huge organization, right? It's huge. And this is something that not even Sisyphus can push up that damn hill. He can't. Yeah, it is that huge. You're pushing up that hill. And then you have that moment. And that big boulder slips and it rolls back down the hill. And you got to start all over again. That's what Rand Paul and that's what Thomas Massie and that's what Justin Amash have to deal with once they become part of that machine. It's one of the reasons why Justin Amash stepped out and said, you know what? I'm an independent. And as an independent, he stepped back and went, it's tough being alone out here. And Justin Amash went, let's become part of that libertarian coalition. Yeah, Justin Amash recognized the institutional inertia that he was fighting against as a Republican. He recognized that as an independent, he couldn't keep trying to push that boulder up that hill. That's why he became part of the libertarian coalition that said, together, let's move America in the right direction. That way, there's people who can pick up when he gets tired. There's people who can pick up when he has to step aside and breathe. People who will hold that boulder of government in place while he catches his breath. I think the people who are running as Republicans get caught up inside the machine, and it's tough for them to get out. They become part of that institutional inertia, which is pushing against the libertarian ideals that America was founded on. We need to step out and we actually need to create that strong, reasonable, and pragmatic libertarian coalition that can move that boulder up that hill in a way that gives us all freedom again. We had it 244 years ago, 2 centuries, 204 years ago. Our founding fathers penned an incredible document, the Declaration of Independence. Life, liberty, your choice in how you pursue happiness. We need to get back to it, folks. Oh yeah, I've been rattling for 50 minutes here now on a Friday. That's 20 minutes longer. Thank you again, Mike. I really appreciate the conversation, the talking points. Amanda, love you. Thank you for joining in today. Idaho Law, thank you. Let's be part of this. Let's make this happen. Reiki. Thank you for joining me over in Twitchland. Appreciate it. Remember, like, share, comment. Let your friends know about what's going on. Talk to them about liberty. Talk about that. Talk to them about family, friends, and community. Together, we can break the chains. Love you guys. Join me later, 8 p.m. Idaho Public Television debates. Pre-recorded? Yes, it is pre-recorded. Yeah, we're going to make it happen, Micah. We're going to happen. Maybe just one congressman at a time, until we get a big enough group. But we're making strides. This has been an exceptional year for the Libertarian Party. Jo Jorgensen has been an exceptional candidate. She continues to enjoy the support of previous Libertarian presidential candidates, as well as support within the party. And a lot of support from Libertarians running for Congress and Senate across the United States. Love you, Idaho. So again, join me again, 8 p.m. tonight. That's 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, MST. You guys can ask your questions. Let me clarify any issues you got. Love you. Peace out.